Hello, everybody. We are here live with another webinar for the BrELT Young Learners and Teens Week. And I'm very happy to have this speaker because she's someone who's very active on our community, on the Facebook group and everything. And she is a talent. So I'm really happy to have this talent here with us today. Let me quickly read her bio. Fernanda Vicente has been teaching English for 10 years. She works with children, teenagers, and adults. She has an extension course by FAFE-USP on English teaching for children and has taken a course on teaching young learners by Oxford TEFL and holds a TKT and a CP certificate. So Fernanda's webinar is called Meaningful Oral Interaction in the Primary Classroom, Going Beyond Lexical Lists. And I'm very excited because I think I'm going to learn a lot today. So Fernanda, over to you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. Honored to be visited by you, actually. So thank you so much. All right, so I'll start sharing my screen with you right now. Let's see how it works. All right, I think. All right, thanks, Jim. Well, as Thiago has already introduced me, I don't think I have to do it again, right? So I'll just go with the goal of our talk today. I think that I've decided to discuss this topic with you today because I think that besides all the new researches and information that we've been giving for the past years about how children, well, not just children, yes, actually students in general learn, we still take them for granted when it comes to developing an effective methodology to teach our little ones, yes. If any of you here also teaches adults, I am pretty sure that when you are designing a course, if you are a private teacher, or when you are preparing a class, you take into consideration the importance of developing conversational skills with your students, right? So why don't we then have the same concerns when preparing a class for young learners? Yes, I think this is something, it's a big problem, yes, in primary classrooms. So what we're going to do today is, first we're going to identify the issue, yeah? Then we're going to discuss the differences between the rote learning methodology and the meaningful learning one. Then, as the title of my webinar says, we're going to go further on meaningful learning. Yeah? Then we're going to think how we can develop children's speaking skills, what to consider when we're planning a speaking activity for the young learners, and then I'm going to finish with some practical ideas on activities that you can do with your students. Okay? So, in my opinion, something that one of the obstacles actually that prevent our students from acquiring the vocabulary or the language that they learn in class is how course books usually approach the new language, yeah, which is vocabulary lists. If we think about children's books, we also have that first page with lots of pictures and lots of words, yeah. And then teachers usually come to class and say, okay, so today we're going to learn toys. Yeah, but we don't say why we're going to talk about toys. Yeah, and then we just give that huge list for our students and they don't know why they're learning that. Yeah, they just have to memorize it and that is it. So I really think we have to change that. And I'm not here saying that the rote learning methodology and vocabularies are ineffective. They're not. Children learn the words. I just think that there is much more than that when we think about teaching language, okay? So first, let's see the differences between the rote learning methodology and the meaningful learning one. The rote learning methodology encourages the learner to memorize words, like I said before. It is based on repetition. It is effective if you are preparing quickly for a test. Who has never done that, right? However, the information may be forgotten quickly as well. Yes, you memorize it quickly, but you also forget it quickly. And it is not effective for more complex information. The meaningful learning one, on the other hand, encourages the learner to understand the subject, not just memorize it. It relates to previous knowledge, so that means recycling language. Yes, that is so important when learning a second language. It does take longer than the rote learning one. However, the information is also retained longer. And it is effective because students can come up with their own examples of context. Yeah. Something that is very important when we think about children learning a second language is to think about how and why they learn their first language. Yes, they learn L1 because they need to find meaning in their world. They want to understand what is going around them. Yes, they want to know the names of the words. They want to understand the world that they live in. Yeah, so why don't we follow this same pattern when we are teaching L2? Yes, so what does that mean? It means bringing meaningful topics to class. Yes, making them want to find meaning in the foreign language. Yes, if we do that, we will increase the chances of their learning. Why? Because they will want to do it. They will want to learn the second language. Yes. I also brought to you some theory, yes, from this amazing book by Lynn Cameron that was suggested actually by Claire Venables when I took her course. And I think this was one of the most important gifts that I've ever had, because this book is a treasure, yes. And Lynn Cameron says that if children do not understand the spoken language, they cannot learn it, yes. And by understanding, I don't mean just she actually has nothing. She doesn't say the meaning of the words themselves, yes. It's actually why, yeah, the reason of that language. And to learn discourse skills, children need both to participate in discourse and to build up knowledge and skills for participation. And our job is to teach them how to do it. That's how we help them build their knowledge. We help them build skills so that they can participate in discourse. Yes. And she also says that we want children to be able to use the foreign language with real people for real purposes. And part of this requires that children know how the foreign language works in conversations and longer stretches of talk and text, and not just memorizing words. Yes. Also, I have a quote by Thornbury in which he says that, according to Krashen, language learning is the development of language knowledge through formal study. Language acquisition, on the other hand, refers to the process whereby language knowledge is internalized incidentally through, and this is so important, experiencing natural language use. Yeah. So I think here we see that we actually need both methodologies when we are teaching. Yes, we need the children to memorize the words, but also use them in real, like he says, natural language use, yes, in real situations. So they learn it and they also acquire it. Yeah. But now, okay, theory is so beautiful, but how can we actually do it? Yes. So I think the first thing we have to understand is the different types of discourse that we have. Yes. Well, first, yeah, what is discourse? Well, actually, it's basically discourse is the language used in context. okay? And there are two types of discourse that can be used in L2 teaching. One of them is narrative. Well, Brenner says that narrative discourse, I'm sorry, that narrative discourse is primary in children's development. Think about it. When we want children to tell us how their day was, we ask them questions. Yeah, so what did you do today? And then it's, I went to school also, and how was school? What did you do there? So we are always asking them questions in order to have them produce L1, yes? And we can also do that in L2. Yeah, we ask them questions so that they can produce language. Yeah. The other one is description. As Lynn Cameron says, description is a paradigmatic mental organization. Yes, and that appears in early childhood. So when the child is categorizing the world that they live in, they are developing description. Yeah, so for example, when teachers or parents teach them the colors of the things, the names of the objects that they see, yeah, the names of the animals, they are learning discourse. Yeah, and to produce description discourse, they will need to access their previous knowledge. Yeah, and again, previous knowledge means recycling. So it helps consolidation. Yes, and consolidation leads to an effective learning process, of course. Now, moving on to the second thing that we have to understand, it's how children develop communication skills. Yeah, in the early ages, they tend not to cater for the listener. They don't actually plan their talk. They don't adapt it in order to make themselves clear. So if you are talking to a child and you don't understand what they say, they don't think it's because they said something wrong or because they have failed. No, the problem is with you. You know, something happened in the process when you were listening or something that you didn't understand. And the same happens the other way around. Yes, if they don't understand what we said, they think it's their fault. If we want children to take part in conversation, it has to be something that they understand. Yes, if we want them to talk about something that is beyond their development, they are just most likely to repeat what is being said, and not really understand it. Yes, so that's why if we wanted to provide speaking moments for our children, we need to find topics that are familiar to them. Yes, especially that are familiar to them in L1, so that they can produce in L2. Yes, and then they will engage in the talk, and that's what we want them to do in class. Yeah. And another quote here for you by Lynn Cameron as well. She says that in young learner classrooms, we cannot expect pupils to produce extended talk beyond what they can do in their first language. Again, the first language research provides some help in working out what might and might not be possible in a foreign language. So we need to understand, again, how much they can produce in L1 so that we can have them produce that in L2 as well. Now, the focus of our talk today, yes, what I wanted to do here is actually give you some tips on how to adapt the activities that you do in class in order to provide meaningful oral interaction for them, yes? So, of course, I'm going to give you some practical ideas, but what I really hope is that you can do it, yeah, by yourselves. So we're going to discuss what we have to consider when we are planning a speaking activity for our kids. The first thing, like I said before, we have to bring them motivating topics. Yeah, if the child has nothing to say about specific topics, chances are that they won't engage in the activity. Yeah, so we must bring topics that are real for them, topics that they want to talk about. Yes, so here I put some examples of topics that are used in many course books. Yes, so toys. We can talk about their pets. We can talk about their favorite foods, about their family. They will always, always, always have something to say about those things. Yeah. Another very important thing is to align expectations. Yeah, we must make them aware of what is expected from them. Yes, so when you are planning the activity, you must know exactly what you want them to produce, so that when you are giving them the instructions and presenting the activity, you can tell them clearly what you expect for them. Yeah. Also, it is important that they understand the purpose of the activity. Yeah. And when it is a realistic one, it really helps a lot. Yeah. For example, if you ask them to describe something they see in a random picture, yeah, they won't see why they have to do it. Yeah. Okay, I just have this picture and I have to describe it. What's the point? Yeah. However, if they have to describe their picture to another friend in order to find the similarities and the differences between the two pictures, yes, their work gets more realistic and we have a purpose. Yeah, so there is a reason why they are doing that. So you say it's just simple things that we change that make a lot of difference. Yeah. And the third thing is language. Yes, so we have to make sure that they will have enough knowledge of the language that they are supposed to use. Yeah, the previous two topics that I talked about being motivating, about aligning the expectations, they are totally useless if the children do not have enough language support. Yes, and according to Lynn Cameron, a foreign language student needs models of language use to listen to notice, and appropriate. So we need a lot of input. Okay. They need plentiful opportunities for repeated listening, plentiful opportunities to say words and phrases, so a lot of practice. And really important, they need feedback on production to improve fluency and accuracy. Every student needs feedback, not just teenagers or adults. All of them need it. And before performing a speaking activity, learners need preparation time. They need support for remembering the information to be included while talking. And they need rehearsals of large chunks of talk, as well as words and phrases. Yes, but again, remember, the language should make sense to the child. It is pointless to have all this practice, all this work, if it doesn't make sense to the child. Now, the last part of our webinar today, I'm going to give you some practical ideas on activities that you can do. They are actually really simple if we think about it. Yes, they are easy to prepare. You can do them with any kind of language that you are working with. But I think these are the best ones, yeah, because they are effective and easy. The first one is role-playing activities. They are good because they are very guided. So they are good to use when the children have just learned the language, yes. So like Lynn Cameron says, they need a lot of practice, yes. They need rehearsal. So I think this is a very good moment to provide them that. Yeah, they can be personalized by changing information. So we can have them role play a situation, but change the information to their personal things. Yeah, so for example, let's think about it. We have a dialogue in which two people are talking about their favorite toys. Yeah, again, toys. Yeah, because it is a topic that interests our students. And then they will not just say the toys that the kids in the dialogue prefer. They will say the toys that they prefer. Yes. So whenever we personalize the language, it gets easier for them to learn. Yes. Role-play activities are good because they can be done with any age and any language that they are learning. And again, they are very easy to plan and to prepare, which is really good for us because we all know that our reality is like hundreds of classes per day, and sometimes we don't have that much time to prepare different activities. So it's good to have those in mind when we need something fast. Yes. The second one, exchange information activities. This one, they are less guided actually than the role-playing activities. Yes. So they can be totally personalized. Yes. Because they will be talking about their own information. And so it is much more meaningful. Yes. It can be done with both basic or more complex language because you can choose what they are going to talk about. And it is also an opportunity to promote cohesion in the group. Yes. Because the idea of this type of activity is for them to tell each other information about themselves. Yeah, so let's think about the topic that I gave as an example in the previous activity. Yes, if they are talking about toys, instead of role-playing the activity and just changing the information, they are going to have like questions that you will teach them how to ask beforehand, of course. So for example, what's your favorite toy? And then you will teach the kid how to say, my favorite toy is blah, blah, blah. And then the child will say their favorite toy. Yeah. And what color is it? And when do you play with it? How often do you play with it? We can teach them all that. We tend to underestimate our children. Yes, they can talk about all that. They really can. Yeah, and if we teach them the questions and the answers as chunks and just teach them how to personalize the answer, you will see how much they can talk. And we don't have to teach them the grammar, yes, just as chunks. And they will be producing a lot of language, talking about themselves in a meaningful way. And we're not just teaching them vocabulary. And then that thing about repeating vocabulary, yeah, will disappear. The third one, finding the differences. Yeah, I gave this example earlier, which I think is really nice. Again, we're teaching them chunks. So this is a great activity to teach them there is, there are, there isn't, there aren't, yes? So they say, in my picture, there is a dog. In my picture, there isn't a dog. So they will be using chunks to find the differences in the pictures, yeah? It is flexible also because it can be used with any kind of vocabulary. And again, it's engaging and meaningful. And if we wanted to make it even more personalized, instead of giving the children, the students, the pictures, you can have them draw pictures, give them a topic, the topic of the language that they are studying in class. So for example, if they are learning animals, so we ask them to draw a zoo. And then they are going to compare their zoos, yes? So it is even more personalized and it's real, it is meaningful. And again, they will be producing language and not just the vocabulary of animals. You know? And the last one, show and tell. I love this kind of activities. Yeah, I think they are better to be used with older students or if they have been studying for longer. Yes, because they are really less guided. Yes, the idea here is for the child to produce by themselves. Yes, so it can be done as a simple activity or a project. It makes the student feel important because everybody will be paying attention to them. Yes, they will be there showing their things. I don't know, you can have them perform something that they want or bring pictures of their family and present their family to their friends or talk about their pets or talk about their toys. Yeah, so you see, you can have it used with any kind of language that you can imagine. And they will feel really important because they will be there in the front of the class presenting everything, yeah, and it gives them the opportunity to be talking about themselves. And what is more meaningful than that for a child? Yes, all these 4 activities, as I said before, and I'm going to repeat myself, but I think it's important. They can be used with any kind of language that children learn, and they will love to do these activities because children, they don't usually get tired of games or activities. You just have to change the language, but they will love them anyway. Yeah. And so to close our talk today, I brought to you this beautiful quote by Rita Pearson. She has a very nice TED Talk. If you want, I can share the link with you later. You can email me. And she says that every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. I love that quote, yes. And she says here, an adult who will never give up on them. She doesn't say a teacher, an educator, but we as teachers, we have that power, we have that responsibility whenever we are teaching children, yes? And I think that by providing them these moments of producing, we are showing them how much they can do, yes? We're insisting that they become the best that they can possibly be, yeah? I hope that I've given you some nice tips today. These are my references. So as I said, I used this book by Lynn Cameron. It's called Teaching Languages to Young Learners. I really recommend that. And I also use Thornbury and Diana Slade. The book is Conversation from Description to Pedagogy, another book that I really recommend. And if you want to contact me, here you have my mail, and you can also find me on Facebook. And you have this QR code there, which is actually a survey that if you could answer and give me some feedback, yeah, and share what you thought about the activities that I showed today. You can also email me so that we can exchange ideas. I would love to hear what you have to say on the topic. And I hope you have enjoyed our webinar today.
Brilliant, Fernanda. I'm sure they have.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Lots of sound theory to support everything that you're doing. That's always very important for us when teaching, right? I think sometimes our profession, unfortunately, is not given the credit that it deserves. So as much as possible, we should always like really go and take the sources and
especially teaching children, yes, unfortunately, so undervalued.
Yeah, it is, and in my opinion, it is the most difficult age group to teach children because they are really demanding.
Mm-hmm.
So if the audience has questions, now it's the time to ask them. So people here are showering you with compliments. They're saying that they really loved it. Lots of amazing ideas, lots of hearts.
Oh, thank you.
So everybody really, really liked. So Priscilla agrees with me that it is the most difficult. It is.
Yes, it
And
is really hard. And I think this thing that I said about speaking activities, it's so hard to do it with them. When I started teaching, I totally underestimated their capacity, of doing speaking activities in class. I was afraid of losing them, but we can do it. Yes, we can do it. We have to trust them because they feel that we trust them and then they want to do it to prove, you see, teacher, I can do it. And it's so nice to see it.
Yes, and it just gave us a variety of possibilities so that we can work on. So my personal question, which one is your favorite besides show and tell? It seemed to me that you really like show and tell.
I do. I really like it. But I think the exchanging information one is my favorite because it is so easy to do it. And we can do it with any kind of language we want because we come up with the questions. And then something that I actually forgot, we can also ask them to come up with the questions. Yeah. So we can ask, so what do you want to ask your friends about it? And then we teach them how to ask it in English. So I think this is one of my favorites. Yes, the exchanging information one.
And these moments, these questions, okay for them to be done in the student's mother tongue, right?
Yes, exactly. We have to understand how much they can produce in L1. So we have to understand the different ages that we work with. It also changes. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So more comments here. So important for us who aren't used to teaching children to listen to passionate teachers. I completely agree with that.
Yes.
So Betty says, I've been teaching young children for 8 years, and I feel I know very little. Thank you for the tips.
Oh, that's great.
We have a question for Danny. Hi, Danny. Danny Hurst is asking, any advice on how to motivate children to speak L2 when they're so used to sharing important info about themselves in L1 or are shy to speak, to try L2 with their peers?
Well, if they understand that the moment that they are in the classroom, they have to speak English, yes, they will have to do it in L2, yes, because they won't have the opportunity of sharing information in the classroom in L1. If we teachers, for example, are just using L2, yes. So, and I don't know, I have never had problems with children actually not wanting to use L2 actually when they have the tools, yes, when you teach them how to do it, they will eventually use it. It's different from teenagers, yeah, that they have so much to say and they end up using L1. I don't really have that problem with children. I don't know if my fellow teachers agree with me, but I don't usually have the problem with children.
Yes, I myself used to have this problem more often with older children, like
Yeah,
10,
after they're 10,
like pre-teens, teens.
Yes,
And
children
they
use
can be a little more resistant.
easily. Yes, they just have to have the tools. Yeah.
We have another question here. How much could we vary the activities? Because they also like to do some of them over and over again. Children really like repetition, right?
Yes, they do. Well, you can vary them by changing the language, changing the questions, yes. And when we talk about varying activities for children, sometimes they like to do it over and over again, yes. Sometimes they don't mind repeating the same activity that they did in the previous class. Yeah, so maybe it's okay, yeah. But changing the topic, I think, is good. The role-playing one, for example, you make different dialogues. The exchange information one, we make different questions to define the differences, bring different pictures, but always on the same topic. Yes, I think this will make it more different for them.
Nice. So Betty just commented here that it's a reality in the public school. They have very low self-esteem. So I think she's talking about them being a little bit resistant to speaking English because of low self-esteem, not thinking, not believing in themselves enough.
Yeah, then we need a lot of positive feedback. Yes, motivational feedback and real feedback. Yes, so whenever they do something correctly, you have to show them, see how much you can do, how much you've achieved. Yeah, I think when we have self-esteem issues, effective and motivational feedback is key for that. Yes.
Yeah.
Report is one of my favorite topics when it comes to teaching. And I think this also helps with self-esteem.
Yeah, but what she mentioned is really true. The sense of the public school system with some children coming from more dysfunctional backgrounds, and
it's a lack of sense of achievement. Yes, and give them that. So we have to provide moments of success for the student. Yes, we have to bring them activities that we know that they will be able to do it. So sometimes make it more, easier if we have to, and then train them, and then we start making it more complex. So we have to provide moments of success for our students.
Very good. And then gradually changing the level of difficulty. All right. I don't think we have any more questions. So again, Fernanda, thank you so much. It is so beautiful to see you presenting so confidently. Lots of good input, important things, and as I said, really grounded, like with theory. Very good. It makes us all very happy and very proud.
Oh, thank you, Chia. That's lovely.
So for those who want a certificate, don't forget the link. I'm just going to copy and paste the link to the YouTube chat. And in a second here, the address is bit.ly, is ly, /BrELT YLT Week 2018 certificate. So the certificate is just for us who are here right now on Saturday. So if you're watching this from the future, unfortunately, you're not going to get a certificate, but you get all the knowledge. Later on, we're going to have David Valente at 6 talking about drama in the primary, drama and storytelling to develop children's speaking skills. And later, yes, really good. I'm really curious to see, because I really like drama. So
me too.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to learning with David. And at 7, we're going to have Claire Venables talking about being and belonging in the pre-primary classroom. So lots of learning still to happen today. So thank you, Fernanda, again, and thank you, everyone, and see you all at 6.
Bye-bye.
Bye.